Tonight, in part 2 of Halpin Frayser's story, a dream of death, a forest that won't let you leave, and a body without a soul. Dim the lights, grab a snack, let's begin. In his youth, Halpin Frayser lived with his parents in Nashville, Tennessee. The Fraysers were comfortable, firmly placed in what passed for high society after the wreckage of the Civil War. The children had the best schools and good company, and it showed in their manners and minds. Halpin, the youngest, and not especially sturdy, was a bit spoiled. His mother hovered, his father didn't. Mr. Frayser was what Southern men of means often were, a politician. The roar of rallies and backroom deals made him half deaf to his own house. Halpin himself was dreamy, idle, and romantic. More drawn to books than to the law, the profession chosen for him? Among the family's believers in heredity, it was accepted that the spirit of Myron Bayne, Halpin's maternal great-grandfather and a colonial-era poet of some renown, had resurfaced in him. Nearly every Frayser owned a lavish edition of Bayne's works, paid for by the family long ago and quickly pulled from a reluctant market. Yet they were in no hurry to honor the poet's return. Halpin was treated as the clan's intellectual black sheep, liable at any moment to start bleeding in verse. The Tennessee Fraysers were practical people, by which they meant fitted for politics, not poetry. To be fair, while Halpin seemed to have inherited Bayne's temperament, the divine gift was only rumored. He had never courted the muse, and honestly couldn't write a clean line of verse to save himself from death. Still, who can say when a dormant talent might wake? Meanwhile, he drifted. Between him and his mother, there was perfect sympathy. Secretly, she was as devoted to Myron Bayne as he was, and with the tact for which she was known. She hid that weakness from everyone but Halpin. Their shared guilt only tightened their bond. If she had spoiled him when he was young, he'd gladly met her halfway. As he grew into the kind of man a Southerner becomes when he doesn't much care which way elections go, his attachment to his beautiful mother, whom he'd called Katie since childhood, grew stronger and gentler each year. The energy between them had an intensity people often misread. Strangers sometimes took them for lovers. One day, Halpin stepped into his mother's sitting room, kissed her forehead, played with a dark curl that had slipped its pins, and asked, trying to sound casual, failing a bit, "Would you mind terribly, Katie, if I had to go to California for a few weeks?" Her face answered before her lips did. She would mind, very much. Tears welled in her large brown eyes. "Ah, my son," she said, looking up at him with boundless tenderness. "I knew this was coming. I lay awake half the night weeping, because in the other half, Grandfather Bayne came to me in a dream. He stood by his portrait, young and handsome as in that painting, and pointed to yours on the same wall. When I looked, I couldn't see your features. You'd been painted with a shroud over your face, like the dead. Your father laughs at me, but you and I know such things are not for nothing. And below the edge of the cloth, I saw the marks of hands at your throat. Forgive me. We've never kept such things from each other. Perhaps you read it differently. Perhaps it doesn't mean you'll go to California, or perhaps you'll take me with you." Her clever reading of the dream didn't convince him. To Halpin, it warned of something simpler and closer. Not a voyage to the Pacific, but a danger at home. He felt just then that he was fated to be strangled on his own ground. Are there not medicinal springs in California? She hurried on, before he could answer. People recover from rheumatism and neuralgia there, don't they? Look, my fingers feel so stiff. and I'm almost sure they pained me while I slept. She held out her hands. Whatever diagnosis he kept behind his smile, the narrator can report that no fingers ever looked less stiff or less in need of a prescription for new scenery. In the end, these two people with their peculiar sense of duty split in the most ordinary way. He went to California because a client needed him. She stayed home because her husband, barely aware of the wish, preferred it. In San Francisco, one dark night along the waterfront, Halpin's luck turned sharp. With stunning speed, he became a sailor, shanghaied onto a proud ship bound for a far country. The bad luck didn't end there. The ship wrecked on a South Pacific island. 6 years passed before a daring trading schooner lifted the survivors and brought them back to San Francisco. Proud in spirit, broke in purse, Halpin refused charity. He lived with a fellow survivor near the town of St. Helena, waiting for letters and money from home. He hunted, and he dreamed. The figure that confronted him in the haunted wood, a thing so like his mother, yet so unlike, was horrible. It stirred no love, no longing, no memory of a golden past. Fear swallowed everything finer. He tried to run, but his legs were lead. He couldn't lift his feet. His arms hung useless. Only his eyes obeyed him, and he dared not take them off the dull, dead gaze of the apparition. He knew it wasn't a soul without a body, but the worst thing that walked that wood. A body without a soul. In that blank stare, there was no love, no pity, no intelligence, nothing to plead with. There was no appeal. Tame, stretched until the world itself seemed to go gray with age and sin. The forest, having done its work, slid out of his awareness, leaving only the thing before him. It stood a step away, watching him with the brainless malice of a wild animal. Then it thrust out its hands and sprang with terrifying ferocity. The shock broke his body free, though not his will. Mind still spellbound, his strong, agile frame fought on its own. For an instant, he saw himself from the outside. Such tricks dreams play. Then he landed back inside his skin, and the straining automaton took orders again, fierce and focused as its hideous foe. But who can outfight what his own imagination makes? The outcome is baked into the cause. Despite his strength, despite the frantic struggle that felt wasted in empty air, he felt cold fingers close on his throat. Driven to the ground, he saw the drawn, lifeless face a hand's breadth from his own. And then, blackness. A far throb like drums, a murmur of many voices, a sharp, distant cry slicing them silent. And Halpin Frayser dreamed that he was dead. Thanks for watching. If you're into this, tap like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Next time, we follow two men into the fog, to an abandoned graveyard, an eerie discovery, and a laugh so unnatural it chills the soul.